It's a welcome to episode 24 of Inside the Video Store, and welcome to the darkest recesses of Snips Movies. We are in the bowels of the video store. Back there we've kind of got the room where I have all the VHS tapes and a bit of overflow and bits and bobs, and in this room I kind of store the TV. Mentioned a few times in the past few weeks that we're going to have a quick look through the TV, so I thought before I assume the position back there, I thought I would give you some idea of the kind of TV series I stock. Now, TV is not my specialist. There's a few reasons behind that. I seem to have an inclination that TV series will be more readily available as years go by than films, so I would rather give over the space in the store to movies as opposed to TV, which I think, might be wrong, will be more easily accessible as the years go by. I'm talking like the big stuff, like Sopranos will always be around, X-Files will always be around. So yeah, I don't want to give up. What is South Park? I mean that amount of space to South Park. I don't want to get that. That's like 20 movies on the shelf. It just doesn't make any sense. I'd rather have the films. There's 20 individual films, all of which might be a little bit scarce or hard to come by, and yeah, it doesn't make much sense. So I thought, well, I'll still keep a backdrop of television series. The good stuff that people might not have access to. And I thought, yeah, I'll keep that on the back. It's on the database, so if people are really desperate for it, they can search and they can see it's there. So it's not like it's hidden away. And yes, the stuff from here still does go out. Things like Sons of Anarchy goes out quite regularly. What else goes out? Inside Number 9, even though it's on iPlayer, it still goes out on DVD quite regularly. Twin Peaks as well. The Lynch fans, they like a bit of Twin Peaks, both the original series and the more recent one. So yeah, people still dip in and out, and of course we've got the really niche stuff here and there that people do go for. We'll take a little look. Hope you can hear me with this microphone a bit far away. Up on this top shelf, it's all in alpha order, obviously, because the way I store it, and apologies for this thing in the way, but yeah, you'll get the drift. So I'm kind of thinking like stuff like Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, for example. That is kind of an essential thing to hang on to and have available, even though it may be on 4OD or whatever. I think it's still important to have here. Similarly, things like Crooked House, a great TV show, great series, mini-series, and things like that. Things that are one-offs might be a bit more difficult to get a hold of than your vast series. What else have we got? Things like this. How relevant is Carnival? I mean, Carnival was quite a really cult. I think it still is a cult series, really. But I don't know if it's available elsewhere. I probably should have done my research before I presented this bit. But then we have stuff that really is tricky to get hold of, which is Beasts, the brilliant series by Nigel Neal, which is just a fantastic piece of British television. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And of course, with Network having gone by the by, this might be a tricky thing to get hold of. But we do have Old Gold Media now taking their place, and they're releasing stuff week in, week out from the Network catalogue. So who knows, in years to come, we might find Beasts being upgraded to Blu-ray. I don't know. But I think that's an essential TV series to keep hold of. This is another Network thing that I thought, well, I need to keep hold of this. This is Armchair Thriller, one of those classic shows that you might have seen on TV when you were a kid. And it's just amazing. This has got all episodes in here. I think it's a crazy running time of 1400 minutes. But it's essential, and it's an essential TV series, which probably will become a rarity in years to come. So you have to keep hold of things like this. Similarly with Pregnant Pause, this thing, Tales of the Unexpected. Now, I know one of the Sky channels, one of the cable channels is showing this. Might be what used to be the horror channel, for example, but it's just not the same as taking home the DVD when you got uninterrupted coverage and you don't have to see adverts, and also the kind of one a day or two a day. You can get through the whole series, and it is an amazing series. And also, I mentioned this on the show quite recently, Tales from the Dark Side. Just one of those series that's disappeared. I don't think this is streaming anywhere. I'm sure you'll probably prove me wrong. But again, I've got all four series of that, and I do think it's one of those shows that is worth keeping hold of. I think it is. I mean, I'm leaning more towards the horror series here. Those horror series that maybe haven't made it onto streaming. Stuff like this, for example, another network release, Tales of Unease. That was a really cool release that they put out just before they went under. Again, 7 Tales, a really great, short-lived British show. Absolutely wonderful. Things like this as well. Orson Welles' Great Mysteries. These kind of things, you got Volume 1 here and also Volume 2. I think it's these that'll be hard to come by. And again, I probably should be more selective. What I've done here behind me is literally put every single TV show I've got on the database together. And that probably might have been a little rash. I can probably pluck out maybe 50 TV series from here that may deserve their own space. So yeah, that might be something worth thinking about. I'm thinking stuff like this. The Shadows of Fear. Again, another great network release. Sorry, the lights are really tricky to manage in here. So apologies if we have a load of shadows now and again. But moving away from network, you've got amazing stuff as well, like Kolchak, the Night Stalker. I mean, that's one of the greatest series of all time, isn't it? Surely. Brilliant. Is it streaming? I do not know. And if you want to go more mainstream, I say mainstream, you don't need to look as far as Homicide, Life on the Street, all 6 series. Surely one of the best cop shows ever made. Brilliant stuff. So yeah, that's one of the ones I'm really... Also, stuff like this. Like, you remember Mick Garris did Masters of Horror? Good anthology show. Some really great episodes. Now there was Series 1 of Masters of Horror, there was Series 2, and of course Series 3 didn't really come out in the same way. It came out of this, Fear Itself, which is still very, very good. There's a brilliant Stuart Gordon episode on this called... No, I forgot the name. But it's brilliant. It's kind of got a similar plot to Last Shift and Malum, the 2 horror films. But there are maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 episodes on this that really do deserve your attention. So it's a great little anthology series. So that went up there. So yeah, hopefully you've kind of got the gist of this. There's Twin Peaks, which I mentioned before. Yeah, hopefully you've kind of got the gist of why I've kept elements of this. Obviously, Outer Limits, season 1 and 2, as well as season 1 of the updated version of Outer Limits. They only released 1 series over here on DVD, unfortunately. But yeah, Night Gallery as well. Bit of Rod Serling. I have Twilight Zone on the shop floor. That was one TV series I had to make a excuse for. Have to have Twilight Zone on the shop floor in the sci-fi section, all 5 series on Blu-ray. And also, this was a great little anthology series as well, Stephen King's Nightmares and Dreamscapes, which I am quite fond of. Again, they're not all successful, the episodes on this, but some of them are absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that's it. So yeah, that's it. I don't want to waffle on. Oh, I'll tell you one series I really liked that I don't see many people having spoken about, and that's Harper's Island. Did you ever see that when it first came out? In my estimation, that's one of the great TV. I mean, whatever if it's on. Check if it's on Paramount streaming. It might be, but in my estimation, one of the great modern day edge of the seat TV series with a kind of horror angle. I love that. I think it's fantastic. Um, but yeah, beginning to waffle now. So I just wanted to quickly go through those just to kind of show you what's here in the back with regard to TV. Stuff like classic cartoon series as well. Wacky Races, Top Cat, Dastardly and Muttley. And of course the old Blockbuster subtitle stickers. I used to stick these on in years gone by. These were stolen from a multitude of Blockbuster video stores. But yeah, I don't use them now because I like people renting subtitled movies when they don't know it's subtitled, because sometimes it cures them of their weird thing that they can't watch a film with subtitles, and they can. Everyone can. And yeah, people have a mental block. When they used to see that blue sticker, they would have a mental block, and to say, "Oh no, it's subtitled. We cannot watch that. I'm not reading a film." But because I don't put them on there now, people are renting films that are subtitled, are foreign language, and it's kind of surprising them, and they kind of think, well, we may as well watch it anyway, and they do. Plus, obviously, I get fewer and fewer, fair weather renters. So most people now who are renting do know if a film is foreign language or not. But yeah, save me waffling on again and again and again. That is kind of the TV. Oh, let me just show you this. These are really cool. I never pull these out. I think they're worth a fortune now, to be honest. I can't imagine just the quality of these today. I'm sure it's absolutely shocking. But back in the day, of course, it was your one opportunity, or a rare opportunity, to see classic Troma acquisitions. Now, a lot of these, a good proportion of these, are now out courtesy of Vinegar Syndrome. This is Toxie's Triple Terror. So, I think Deadly Daphne's Revenge is out on Blu-ray now, isn't it? Beyond Evil's out on Blu-ray. Maybe a minority. Stuff Stephanie and the Incinerator. Fertilize the Blaspheming Bombshell. Classic films. Nightmare Weekend, of course, is out on Blu-ray from Vinegar Syndrome. As is Dead Dudes in the House. Still waiting for Space Zombie Bingo, unfortunately. Maybe one day. And of course, yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna go out front. We'll sit down. We'll look at some new releases. Not many this week, hence why I thought I'd do a bit of padding with this section here. So yeah, I've got a few new releases this week. Not many new arrivals this week. Not many what's in the boxes this week. But we have got our usual on loans, and we'll have a winner for the Jeff Burr Pumpkinhead competition, Pumpkinhead 2. One of you will be being sent the new Blu-ray from 88 Films, which was out last Monday. So yeah, let's go out front and chat some more. Yeah, so there we have the TV section, the barely seen TV section. Was there anything there that you think maybe I should get in? Anything missing? What do you think is the TV series that I should be kind of Yes, that's the TV series, the little seen TV series section out the back there. Good range, but what are the gaps in that, do you think? What's the stuff that I didn't mention that you think, to be honest, this might be worth archiving in the video store? Because, as I was saying, inevitably there will be TV that is available in perpetuity, that always available, be it Lost, X-Files, Sopranos, But there must be some bits that you've got at home that you think, I'm glad I've got a copy of this because I don't think this will be watchable anywhere after a certain period of time. So what do you think are the TV series that need to be preserved in this preservation haven? Let me know. Let me know. Anyway, let's get on with this week's paltry supply of new releases. Just a word on next week. Next week is shaping up very nicely. It is, I think, quite frankly, the most insane week for boutiques that I can remember. I'm getting in 14 boutique releases, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. And at the moment, they all seem to be arriving on time. Because I did speak to 88 Films a few days ago, and they said that their distributor is panicking a little bit because of the sheer volume of stuff that's been, penciled in for this week. But just had a shipping notification from 88. Radiance is shipping on time. Indicator is shipping on time. And I think that was... Oh, Eureka. Just waiting for Eureka. So hopefully I'll get a shipping notification from them. And aside from those big indies, there's a few labels a few little indie labels. I'm getting one and two little singles of next week. But yeah, we shall see what turns up. Exciting week next week. As for this week, let's have a look anyway. This looks really interesting. I know everyone's got a bit of an acrophobia kind of thing going on, don't they? And this is Sting. Sting, not a biopic of Gordon Sumner, sadly. Well, probably not sadly, quite frankly, I wouldn't watch it. We do have Sting, a horror film. About a little spider that grows into some grotesque monster and terrifies people. Sounds great, to be honest. I don't know much about the background, but I thought it was worthy of having one on DVD and on Blu-ray. And there it is. So yeah, that's this week's big film. This looks like a really intriguing one. It's called The G. The G. We'll see... The male G, the granddad, Liam Neeson, getting revenge for a variety of things that have been done to him or his family in a multitude of films. But now the gender roles have been flipped, and about time too, as the G seems to be the granny. About a woman, Anne, she retires. And then something horrible happens. Their home and assets are stripped from them, and they're put on in a prison-like, kind of like an elder care facility. And that's sort of the straw that broke the camel's back as she fights back to get her life back on track. So this sounds really cool, to be honest. It's been put out by Lightbulb, who do have a good eye for a decent release. It is available on DVD and Blu-ray, but I thought, well, not everyone's cup of tea, but we'll have a little look at that and get a copy on DVD. And they are the two single new release contemporary titles in there. But you can only pick up what's out there. And two boutiques. We have a classic, Night on Earth. Really thrilled that this has come out. One of my favourite films. Soundtrack by Mr. Tom Waits, one of my favourite musicians. And probably one of Jim Jarmusch's best films. Would you rank it alongside Down by Law? Maybe? Close tie? Or maybe you're a Ghost Dog fan. You're a Ghost Dog fan, aren't you? I can tell. But yeah, Night on Earth, really thrilled to have this in. Previously I had it in on this kind of, there's two Jim Jarmusch box sets with 3 films on each. And they were great, but they were a little bit anonymous, or even anonymous. Although they did rent out, funnily enough. A few of the kids have gone through them. But yeah, it's great to see this coming out on Blu-ray. It's in the Criterion. Not a vast amount of extras, other than a booklet, a Q&A, and a scene select commentary. But yeah, but never mind. We have Night on Earth on Blu-ray, and all is well in the world. Finally, in the boutiques, we have 3 Men in a Boat, which I haven't had before. Some of these vintage classics from Studio Canal are upgrading some of the network stock. They're upgrading some of the Ealing stock. But no, I've not had this in the past. This is directed by Ken Anakin. and a nice tale of whimsy. Whimsy with Lawrence Harvey, Jimmy Edwards, David Tomlinson, and Shirley Eaton. Addicted to these studio classics, and my section is gradually dwindling, or certainly spare room in my section is gradually dwindling, which is a bit of a concern. But already this week, I've been starting to sketch out the plans for next year. My main building time in terms of fixtures is January, February. It tends to be the slightly quieter months. So I'm kind of already beginning to sketch some ideas in regard to new fixtures and where to put them. Obviously, space is kind of tight. But I just found a couple of spaces that I haven't exploited before, and it seems as though with a bit of handiwork and with a bit of DIY genius, which I'll have to get from somewhere, then I can squeeze a few spaces in for a couple of hundred titles, which just frees up some space and allows stuff like this to breathe. Obviously, the boutiques are really the biggest renters at the moment, so it's kind of just finding space to hold those. And with stuff, when you get a week like next week with 14 boutique Blu-ray releases coming out, you can only have so many months like that before you need to start thinking, So yeah, obviously, I can't sacrifice anything. We have now reached a situation where every film here has justified its place. There is nothing I can cut loose. So it's a need to find more space, and I think I've found a few little places that I can go to. So yeah, just penciling out, sketching out some rough drawings, and then hopefully next year in January I can start to build those, and then hopefully my vintage classics section can wait till then. I should be able to. But yeah, this week's new arrivals in terms of brand new releases, shrink wrapped releases. Let's have a look at what's been going out with the general public. I say the general public, there's nothing general about these public that come here. They're remarkable people. Typified by the fact that I had several new people. Two stand out to me because they're young, they're both teenagers, and they both asked for really interesting things. First teenager came in and they said, do you stock any Dario Argento films? And I said, yes, I have a Dario Argento section, and I led him to it, and he was thrilled, and he rented Inferno, which, that's a great pick, isn't it? That's a great pick. He's going to have a great time watching that film, so absolutely thrilled to see one of the young renters taking Inferno, and the next young renter had a good look around by himself, to be honest, and he picked 3 films for £5, which he will take for a good week or so. And one of them he picked was Francois Truffaut's Day or Night, Day for Night rather. Again, as I said a few weeks ago, you tend to pencil in kids and people of that generation as just being into the Kardashians and stuff like that. But for a kid to come in by himself into a strange place, and it is quite overwhelming to some people, to have a look around and to rent a Truffaut film is quite remarkable. So I was absolutely thrilled. It's one of those little things that can make my day, to quote Mr. Eastwood. Fellini. Our good friend Nathan rented Fellini, 8.5, William Friedkin's favourite film, I do believe. And I haven't seen it. I really should make the time to see this. I've seen obviously a good few classics, as I would, but for some reason I have never seen 8.5, which is outrageous. So I must correct that in due course. I have, though, seen 976 Evil, which you may not be surprised to hear, and its sequel, 976 Evil 2, which was contained within the box for 976 Evil. So I think James took this, asked for the 976 Evil, and I said, James, if you don't mind, I will give you a freebie. Along with 976 Evil, you will get Jim Wynorski's 976 Evil 2, arguably the better of the two films. Controversial opinion, James is back tomorrow, and we shall gauge his thoughts. I think he might side with me. We shall see. This was a bit of a strange request, one that doesn't go out so often. It's Marky Mark and his Spunky Bunch, and Reese Witherspoon in Fear. I actually saw this at the cinema back in the day, at the multiplex in Nottingham, and I really, really, really liked it. I know it didn't do too well. James Foley directed it, but I think it's a really effective thriller. William Peterson is in it, isn't he? Yes, he is. Amy Brenneman, Alyssa Milano, great cast. I thought it was a really effective thriller. And glad to see it going out. Now, I don't know whether it's because David Lynch recently made the admission that, unfortunately, due to a lifetime of smoking and general enjoyment, he's contracted emphysema, so he won't be able to direct another movie in person. So, obviously, a bit of publicity for David Lynch, and a few people taking the opportunity to revisit his career. I've got about 4 or 5 David Lynch films out on loan at the moment, but Eraserhead has been out twice in the past 7 days, and that's really, really cool to see. Both, again, to younger people. Watching it for the first time, they don't really know what to make of it, as I didn't when I watched it for the first time. But nevertheless, I think it's a film that they will revisit in years to come. And it's great for them to chalk that one off the list so early in their lives, because I think it's essential. I went to see Mark Kermode do a talk once, and he said that, in order to really give yourself the advantage of an encyclopedic knowledge of films, you need to start early. And you need to consume hungrily from an early age, preferably late teens. I know some people have got into films late, which is fine, which is great. But from a personal perspective, I was glad that I really got the bug around about 17 or 18 and just raced through stuff like Eraserhead and Scorsese films and Altman films and De Palma films and Lumet films and people like that, because I think it would scare me today if I hadn't seen those, because I just don't think I'd find the time. So I'm glad I did make the time to see those early doors. But it's a challenge. You just can't keep up, can you? You just can't keep up with everything. Every film tends to open a door to 3 other films, and it's just tricky because you've got real life happens, and I'm fortunate. I haven't got a proper job. I go on holiday for a living and sit here all day and talk about movies. But if you have got a proper job, one that requires work, as opposed to here, then it must be difficult, because sometimes you get home at night, 6 o'clock, kids, tea, stuff like that, and maybe you're not in the mood to watch a 3-hour Bela Tarr film. There's not many opportunities once you get into adulthood to do those things. So, I was glad I started early. But fortunate in doing so. We lost the great, beloved Gena Rowlands this week. Phenomenal actress. And one of my customers has chosen the opportunity to start checking out the films of John Cassavetes for the first time. So that's really exciting. So I'm thrilled to see what they think of that. Thrilled to see if they get into Cassavetes films. She was just a remarkable actress, especially a woman under the influence is just it's just ridiculous. You rarely get a performance better than that in any capacity. Quite something. Finally, with you on loan this week, Universal Horror has been renting like gangbusters. I don't know why, but we've had Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein. We've had the Wolfman going out. We've had a Dracula going out, and now we've got the Creature from the Black Lagoon, all to different people. I don't know why people are suddenly revisiting these films, but great that they are. And this went out to a young lad. And he wanted Creature from the Black Lagoon, and I said, well, they're so short, aren't they? They're so short. What's Creature? About an hour? just over. And I said, well, look, take the three. Take the three for the price of one. And then if you get time, you might be able to see, obviously, Revenge and The Creature Walks Amongst Us. And there's Clint Eastwood back again, isn't it? Ironically. So yeah, they are the films out on loan this week. Well, I don't have 8 films out on loan. I have several hundred. But there are a couple of the highlights, which are very cool indeed. What about next? Should we go on to some post? There's not much posting, you know. It's a quiet week. It's an interesting one. I've had a notification from Vinegar Syndrome today to say that all the August subscriber bump is on its way. So that's exciting. And Money Scene as well. That should be here on Saturday. So they're on its way. They'll be on next week's show with the boutiques. I'm still waiting for Severin, you know. Has anyone here got their Severin sale order? I think, how long has it been? Maybe 5 weeks. I know they said 4 to 8 weeks to ship, which is fine. You know, it's not like I've got nothing to watch. But you kind of get a little tense, don't you? I think I got about 20 films off Severin's sale. And you do get a bit twitchy with stuff like that when it takes a little while to come. Even though I have no chance of watching the majority of it in any foreseeable time. But still, you stuff that you paid for, you like to have it present, but still, I'm sure it won't be long. So yeah, we've got Vinegar Syndrome coming in, we've got Severin coming in, we've got an Amazon delivery coming in from the States, we've got a Makeflix parcel coming in with J.L. Bookwalter's new film. That should be in hopefully within the next 10 days to 2 weeks. So there's loads coming in. So this week, not much, we'll run through it though. Absolute credit to my good friend Dan. He came in with a copy of a donation, a copy of Excess Baggage with Alicia Silverstone. Very cool donation indeed. Not sure if this made it to DVD over here, probably did. But nevertheless, it's still a very, very cool addition to the store. So I'm thrilled with that. It's a great addition. Thank you, Dan. That will be a pride of place in the E section. As will this one, Eddie. Oh, you know, I mentioned Whoopi Goldberg last week, and I said that, you know, it was just disgraceful that I didn't have a good representation of Whoopi Goldberg here. Obviously tried to rectify that last week with Jumpin' Jack Flash and also Homer and Eddie, the film with Jim Belushi. Now I decided to pick up Eddie as well, the Steve Rash film. Didn't Steve Rash do Grosse Pointe Blank? Oh, am I thinking of someone else? Probably someone else. But nevertheless, yeah, so Eddie I got in, which is cool. Fatal Beauty, which is an essential Whoopi Goldberg film, directed by Tom Holland. No less, directed by Tom Holland. And of course, co-starring Sam Elliott, the great Sam Elliott. So that's brilliant. Excited to watch that myself again, to be honest. And another customer request, someone asked for Buffalo 66. Quite surprised I didn't have it, to be honest. I thought I would. But I haven't. I do now. So it is here for them when they are ready. Got some posts that came in today. I don't know if it's of any interest whatsoever. We shall have a quick look. Now I do know that I've been on the old Brian machine again. More teas. Incidentally, I've just in the last 2 days received the first 2 sketches for merch, and 2 great artists. First 2 sketches, rough sketches, and they look amazing, just absolutely amazing. As I said to these guys, there's 4 guys all together, and I said to them, look, give me your identity on a t-shirt, make it, I want the design to capture you as an artist, but in some way capture here. And they've done just a terrific job, the first 2 guys. So I'm really excited about that. I think it'll be a really interesting range of merch, and it'll give you, if you don't live around here and you want to support the place, it'll give you an opportunity to buy something that represents Snips Movies, which I think will be really cool. But here are, I went for marine blue. Don't know about that. As you can tell, I'm pretty much a black person. No racial connotation intended. But I am. I'm a black person, so I went for marine blue, which I don't know. Do you reckon I can get away with it? I hope so. So yeah, we have Fernando de Leo, because you just got to do that, haven't you? You have to do that. If you have the opportunity to get Fernando de Leo on your chest, then you have to do that. So that's really cool. I reckon I can do marine blue. Just about. But yeah, there is one slight downside of Brian's place, which isn't a downside at all, really. The long line tees. I have a oddly long body. The long line tees I could only get in blue and like an olive green grey kind of colour. No black. So I got two grey, which was cool. Roger Corman was grey and it looked good. But I didn't want to get all grey, so I went for marine blue. But I reckon I can do marine blue. We shall see. And yeah, Fernando Leo, and of course, the genius himself, the mad genius from New York, April Ferrara. So yeah, I promised myself they are the last two Brian t-shirts I'm getting for some time, because I've got 7 now already, which is a stupid amount. But they're just too good. They thrill me to pieces. Do you want to pay my electric bill? You can do if you want. What do we got here? What do we have? I think we have a DVD and 2 tapes. Oh no, we have a CD. That's completely irrelevant to this show. But nevertheless, I realised I did not have a copy of Teenage Fan Club's Bandwagon-esque, which is outrageous if you're a Teenage Fan Club fan. But yeah, that's what I wish you were listening to tomorrow in store. So, and if you're a Teenage Fan Club fan, check out the new session they've just done on KEXP, which is very, very cool indeed. Should we do a music segment every week? Wouldn't that be exciting for you? Now, that is one of the best things about working by yourself and working for yourself, in that you can listen to your own music all day, providing you have a PRS/PPL license, which I pay annually. And it is great. It's the best part of the job, really. Even though I say that about 17 different things. But it is. It's fantastic to listen to your own music all day. Because that would be one thing that would drive me around the twist if I had to listen to commercial radio that was enforced upon me by some kind of corporation who thought, well, let's keep the staff entertained and let's put the local commercial radio station on to listen to God knows what kind of commercial crap. So yeah, that is one bonus. Making a bit of a hash of this. We have a VHS. Do you know you're familiar with the Mirror Mirror franchise, aren't you? Mirror Mirror first film was pretty good, to be honest. Pretty good. The second film was directed by a guy called Jimmy Lifton, who's a musician by trade. I can't remember if I've seen it or not. But I have to get this. I don't know if you'll be able to catch this because it's in a fairly shiny little sleeve. But yeah, this is the UK VHS, and it's not called Mirror Mirror in this country. It's called The Mirror, Reflections of Evil. I don't know if you're going to get any of that on camera, simply because it's a really glossy, reflective sleeve, which is really fantastic for the era. When was that? 1994, 93. But yeah, that's great. Roddy McDowall is in it. Sally Kellerman, William Sanderson, Mark Ruffalo. What a great cast. So yeah, I do have it on DVD, but they had the tape quite cheap. The tape was quite cheap. And I thought, well, for that cover alone, you have to get it really. So there it is. There it is. Pop that down there. And one more tape to guide you through in today's new arrivals. I say I have slowed down on the tapes. Don't worry too much. Maybe 1 or 2 every fortnight. Because we don't want to go crazy now, do we? It does tend to be stuff that is either hard to get hold of or is quite interesting. And what do we have here? Ah, yeah, this is an interesting one. This is a time code of Happy Face Murders. I'm a huge, mega fan of Brian Trenchard Smith. And in fact, I've done probably 100 interviews for various projects and various books. And Brian Trenchard Smith is in my top 3 interviews. I got on the phone to him one Sunday, late Sunday night, and I think we chatted for about 2 hours. Just the nicest possible person. I'm sure some of you have had contact with him in the past. And he's just an absolute wonder of a human being. Absolutely brilliant. And yeah, Happy Face. I don't think it's ever been released on DVD in this country. And I'm not sure if this video actually came out. Because sometimes back in the day, I was discussing this with Matty. There's a... Matthew's just written an essay on Falcon Down with Bill Shatner. And I got sent a timecode for Falcon Down, as we did back in the day, to review for future purchases. And it never came out. So a lot of distros back in the day would manufacture timecodes, but maybe 1 in 100, 1 in 200 sometimes didn't come out for one thing or another. I think with Falcon Down that there was an aviation accident of some kind that kind of put the kibosh on the film. And with this one, it may have been smelled, but I don't know. I might be wrong. This might have actually come out on VHS. It's just I don't personally remember it. Who have we got on this? And Margaret and Henry Thomas. Brilliant. So yeah, I've not seen this Brian Trenchard Smith film, so I'm looking forward to it. Right. How are we doing for time? Not too bad. Not too bad. Right. So we'll just finish off with the last few bits. Now, lots of you entered this Jeff Burr competition to win Pumpkinhead 2 on Blu-ray from 88 Films. And I'm going to decide a winner when we look through the old comments from last week. Yeah, it's interesting. Terry Uller got in touch to say that a friend of mine, I spoke about Hammer Horror because the Eddie Izzard film came in last week, and Terry said that a friend of his worked for a man who owns the rights to Hammer Horror. One day he answered the phone and it was Christopher Lee on the other end. He spoke like a perfect gentleman, my friend said. Later in the week they went for a meal and Caroline Munro was also in attendance. Two great icons. Terry's favourite Jeff Burr film is From a Whisper to a Scream. That was the question to win this. What's your favourite Jeff Burr film? And I will just pick an answer at random. Michael Mars says favourite Jeff Burr film is Night of the Scarecrow because the kill scenes look like they're straight from a classic Italian horror movie. You're right, Mitch Mars. You are right. Lee Marn says my favourite Jeff Burr film is Stepfather 2. Mainly because Terry O'Quinn absolutely rules in that one just like he does in everything else. Lee, you are not wrong. You are not wrong. Skulder22 echoes that and says my favourite Jeff Burr film is Stepfather 2. Saw all Stepfather films at the cinema. Did number 3 go? The cinema did it. Interesting. Unlike the series. Hope that some label could release 2 and 3 on Blue. Absolutely, Skulder. I echo that. I don't know if I've seen any of the other films. I have seen some Puppet Masters, but I don't think I've seen 4 and 5. You must agree. Filmwell says that his favourite Jeff Burr film is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. So it's a retread of the first one, but still a banger. Very 90s and very new line. A total sweet spot for me. Good. Mary Mungalam Midge says From a Whisper to a Scream would be my favourite, but I also like TCM 3. Scarecrow and Phantom Town. Hey, first mention for Phantom Town. Interested in seeing Eddie Presley? Yeah, you should watch Eddie Presley. It's a good indie film. And like you say, great cameos from Quentin, Bruce Campbell and Lawrence Tierney as well. David Murphy says favourite Jeff Burr film has to be TCM 3. Okay, Andy Martin has gone for From a Whisper to a Scream. Matt Bloggs is saying Leatherface. What do we got? And Ant Mumford says spoiler. Can't say why, as that would be a spoiler. Ant Mumford, you're a winner. We'll go for that. My favourite Jeff Burr film would be spoiler. Can't say why, as that would be a spoiler. Well done. You have a copy of Pumpkinhead 2 on Blu-ray heading to you. Let me know where you live, and I will hide outside your house and jump out when you're least expecting it. Only joking. I'll stick it in the post and get it to you this week. Let me know, DM me your address, and I will get that off ASAP. And Mumford, well done you. Well done you. Thanks to everyone, though. I mean, great entries, and just great to give a bit of attention to Jeff, who's a really underrated filmmaker. And like you say, everyone likes something different of his, be it Night of the Scarecrow, TCM 3, Stepfather 2, and Phantom Town. It's great to see some of his films that resonate so much, and hopefully some more of his stuff will come out on Blu-ray over here soon. A couple of brief comments as well, not pertaining to Mr. Burr. Tom Jolliffe says that Agent Red, which I highlighted last week, which came over from Alabris, had an interesting commentary from Damian Lee. And that's the thing with some of those first generation DVDs have got some of the best audio commentaries with directors and producers. They're amazing. Jonah Fish says he still has a couple of movies on VHS that he's hoping for an upgrade, namely Dirty Tricks with Elliot Gould and Euphoria with Fred Ward, Harry Dean Stanton and Cindy Williams. They sound great. I'm much waiting for an Elliot Gould myself film, but I think it's a TV movie, so it's not going to come to anything, unfortunately. It's called Vanishing Act. One of the best TV movies I've seen, Vanishing Act, with Elliot Gould, Fred Gwynne, forget the female's name. Great film, honestly. If you find it I think it's on YouTube, but you should check that out. It's an excellent TV movie. Elliot Gould on fine form. Jonah Fish also says, I saw Brian post those Paul Bartel shirts. I need to order one. He's one of my favourite filmmakers. Viva Paul Bartel. Finally, Coffee Jesus says that Xanadu was a formative movie for me. Saw a double bill with The Secret of Name. Interesting double bill. I remember an absolutely freezing evening waiting for a bus with my mum and my sister, but my eyes were full of colours. Beautiful, fantastic. Great. Well, thank you all for your comments. It's absolutely brilliant to read them. One of my favourite things in the week is people responding to the video. And again, somehow 24 episodes in and you're still not bored, which is quite something. Remarkable. Right, we'll finish off with a few Sleeping Giants. Gaz was in yesterday and he rented one of these. And sometimes, because Gaz has been a member so long here, he sometimes revisits films, some of the first films he rented when he came here for the first time. And we always try and check about the availability of what he's renting, just as a point of interest. And he rented Imaginary Heroes, which is an amazing film. It's an absolutely brilliant, breathtaking, wonderful drama that deserves to be part of the conversation. I think it's not part of the conversation for some reason. But it's great. Directed by Dan Harris, who, funnily enough, has only made one film since this. But yeah, I said to Gaz last night, Gaz, I'm not going to check on Just Watch if Imaginary Heroes is streaming, because it's a film that's 20 years old, therefore it will be streaming somewhere. Because that tends to be the common denominator with is it or is it not streaming. Films from the last 20 years, especially if they're studio films, this was Sony, are normally streaming somewhere. But lo and behold, this isn't streaming in the UK. Outrageous. Imaginary Heroes, a wonderful film, not streaming. So I looked at it and I thought, well, I haven't been looking at films made in the last 20 years, so let me have a quick look around the I's or the H's. And let's have a look. So next film I pulled out, The Hunting Party, Richard Gere and Terrence Howard. Again, a wonderful film. Part of the Richard Gere Renaissance back then, where he did really classy movies like The Hoax. That was good. He had a great run during the sort of mid to late noughties. Did Richard Gere, and The Hunting Party was fantastic. Hunting Party is not streaming anywhere. It's directed by the brilliant Richard Shepard, who is one of my favourite directors. His first film, The Linguini Incident, which stars David Bowie, has just come out for the very first time via MVD, I think, on Blu-ray. And you should all go and get a copy of that. His second film is one of my favourite films from the 90s. It's called Mercy. Absolutely a stunning film. It's also one of those films that qualifies as renting the unrentable. It's about a grim subject matter, but it deserves to be watched. It's a brilliant film. And of course he then went on to direct other, maybe slightly more mainstream films, like Dom Hemingway, I think, was one of his. And I think The Matador as well, with Pierce Brosnan, was one of his. But he's a great director. I spoke to him briefly via email a few years ago. And The Hunting Party is fantastic, and it's not streaming, which is just madness. Finally, this is streaming somewhere, but it's on one of those, I think it's on Plex, which is a bit of an annoyance, as there's loads of adverts. So that's the only place it's streaming. So if you don't want to see it with adverts and you want to watch Eyewitness, then your best bet is DVD. This was released on the classic Mosaic label on DVD. It's directed by Rowdy Herrington, who again is one of those great filmmakers who just did a smattering of really, really cool films, which I've forgotten. I forget the one he did before this. But nevertheless, check out Rowdy Herrington on IMDb. He only directed a handful of films, only about 5 films. And each one of them are really good. Really good. I think he did a James Spader one straight after this. Maybe The Stick-Up, possibly. But yeah, this is James Spader and Jeff Daniels, Portia de Rossi, Clifton Collins Jr. Great cast. And it's a good thriller. It's a good thriller. One of those great thrillers they used to make back in the day. Mid-budget, couple of million budget. And yeah, it's really good. But it's only streaming on Plex, full of adverts. So if you want to add free experience, then that will only be had down at your local video store, which might be a little bit too far for some of you to come. Anyway, that's around about it for this week. Thank you again for watching. I hope the TV section was of some interest. Next week's a big one. And please feel free to join me for it. When? 7 days' time.